budget session of the Lok Sabha, where the opposition and the treasury benches continue to face off against each other for what they deem fit, as Prime Minister's address in Lok Sabha has now been cancelled. We do know that the Prime Minister is going to be speaking in Rajya Sabha at about 5 p.m. This evening. So that is as far as Lok Sabha versus the protests that are ongoing is concerned. So there's the tussle that is unfolding in Parliament between the Treasury and the opposition benches. Earlier today, Congress leader Jairam Ramesh shared a video of and highlighted a 2004 incident where the BJP prevented the then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh from speaking in the Parliament. The Congress leader, in the context of the ongoing Parliament disruptions, recalled this 2004 episode to highlight the past opposition behaviour. So the Congress party, they're trying to say that this has been the case in point for a very long time now, as far as parliamentary decorum is concerned, where opposition benches versus the Treasury has unfolded in past many years in subsequent sessions after sessions.
Out the entire year to perform this happy task. I would like to take this opportunity to doubly thank the President for his address last year.
And that, of course, is the latest as far as India's parliament is concerned. We now know that Lok Sabha has adjourned up until 2 in the afternoon amid ruckus and chaos. For the opposition benches wanted Prime Minister to address Lok Sabha, but that's not going to happen. The Prime Minister, of course, is going to be speaking in Rajya Sabha, as we mentioned earlier, at 5 p.m. this evening. My colleague Brijesh Pandey is joining us with more details. Brijesh, Prime Minister there, definitely ready to answer, and the Treasury benches have so far maintained that Prime Minister was in fact ready to speak, but he wasn't allowed to do so, and that's the reason he is not going to be speaking in Lok Sabha.
Well, what the opposition is saying is that the leader of opposition was not allowed to speak despite his repeated attempts, and that is the reason why they have ensured that if the leader of opposition is not being allowed to speak, then they will also not allow the Prime Ministers to speak. The Treasury bench is saying that this has happened after a very long time, that the Prime Minister was completely not allowed to speak, and this is a breakdown of the decorum as far as Lok Sabha is concerned. Jairam Ramesh posted this clip on social media platform X, which we played for our viewers. He said that in 2004, Manmohan Singh was not allowed to speak in the Lok Sabha during the motion of thanks. And he said that this is perhaps for the first time that a leader of opposition is not being allowed to speak in the House. And they are saying that until and unless that happens, we will not allow the House to function. And they have been pretty successful at that. We are seeing repeated adjournments in Lok Sabha. It is getting convened for 3 to 4 minutes and again gets adjourned. So now the latest adjournment, this is the third adjournment of the day, that it has been adjourned till 2 o'clock. So it's highly unlikely that any kind of meaningful business, any kind of discussion on the presidential address has taken place as far as Lok Sabha is concerned. Rajya Sabha also witnessed, some very sharp exchanges between Khadge and JP Nadda. What we have been given to understand is that the Prime Minister is going to speak in Rajya Sabha at 5 p.m. Now, the numbers of opposition MPs in Rajya Sabha is much less than what it has in Lok Sabha. So it will be very interesting to see what is going to be the strategy of opposition parties as far as Rajya Sabha is concerned.
Also, Brijesh, trying to understand what has transpired in both the houses of the parliament since last 24 hours. We now know that Rahul Gandhi has made some serious allegations against Prime Minister, saying that if he appears in Lok Sabha, he's hoping to hand over the memoir of the army chief, the previous army chief, whose books he's quoted in the past. He's saying that if the Prime Minister shows up, he's going to hand over that book to the Prime Minister personally, also calling Prime Minister names, calling him coward, saying he's unable to face the opposition in Lok Sabha. The fact of the matter is the Treasury benches, the leaders continue to maintain the only reason Prime Minister is not appearing is because they haven't really allowed the Parliament to function. It's also important to point out, every minute Parliament doesn't function, Indians are losing taxpayers' money, and to the tune of about 2.5 lakh rupees for every minute of the Parliament.
Well, yes, what has happened is that, it all started when Rahul Gandhi stood up to reply to the presidential address. and then he started quoting a newspaper, a magazine article which had published published the excerpts of the unpublished memoir of former Army Chief Narwane. And this is when the Defence Minister, the Home Minister, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, several times during the next 30-40 minutes, repeatedly urged Rahul Gandhi to not speak from it, as the decorum doesn't allow it. Even the chair went on to rule against Rahul Gandhi, saying that you are not permitted to quote from the book. So Rahul tried to skirt around the issue, say that if I can't quote the book, can I describe the situation? Even then he was not allowed to. So the opposition is saying that if you are not going to allow Rahul Gandhi, we are not allowed the Prime Minister to speak. Yesterday, yes, he was roaming around with a book, and also posted in his tweet as well on social media platform X that, this is the book, and I'm, trying to find Prime Minister to hand him over the book. It is, Shweta, I completely agree with you that it's absolutely catastrophic, the fact that the kind of money that is spent in functioning of the Parliament, and it should have maximum business possible, because it is a sanctum sanctorum of Indian democracy. People look up to it for meaningful transaction, debates, which further enlightens and flesh out key particular issues. But it has not functioned at all this time. And when you ask this question to opposition leaders, they are saying that we are taking a leaf from the Bharatiya Janata Party itself. And they always point to 2011-12. They said, like, why don't you go back to the speeches of late Arun Jaitley and Sushma Swaraj, where they said it's the job of the government to run the house, it's the job of the opposition to disrupt it. So they're saying the same thing applies to the government now. Why isn't there effective outreach? So, there's a lot of back and forth on this particular subject, but the net result is that there's an absolute waste of taxpayers' money as far as functioning of the house is concerned.
Absolutely. And nobody is emerging out to be any better as day after day, the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha continue to be adjourned without the order of the business going as usual, as expected. But this evening, we are also hoping that Prime Minister is going to speak in Rajya Sabha, Brajesh. There are plenty of things that Prime Minister is expected to address. Number one being, of course, the budget, a budget that has been hailed by the leaders, at least from the BJP, saying that this is a budget for all. But number two would be some of those allegations that Rahul Gandhi has made by the way of that unpublished memoir of, Army Chief Narwane, where we are at least hoping that Prime Minister will clarify on what really transpired that evening, that night.
Oh, he will. I think he's not going to talk about what transpired on that evening. But one thing is for sure, is that he's going to take a big hit out at Rahul Gandhi, and would want to counter the assertion which have been made by Rahul Gandhi for sure. And he would also want to talk about how he was not allowed to speak in the Lok Sabha. And and he would want to expose the Congress party as far as the entire narration is concerned. It'll be very, very interesting to see how he takes the Congress on, because the Congress is also on a very belligerent mode, and I think whatever statement Prime Minister makes will also be met with a rebuttal by the Congress party. So it's going to be a fiery occasion. What we have been given to understand is that there's a likelihood of opposition MPs boycotting the Prime Ministerial address and staging a walkout. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see whether they stand and sit inside the house.
What immense planning going on into how to disrupt the house. I mean, I think that's what we're also learning, that there's been a planned meeting of all the opposition parties coming together and devising a plan on how to disrupt the house this evening.
But see, you have to also understand one very interesting thing, which is the opposition unity. Usually we have seen that whenever Congress talks of a subject, the Trinamool Congress usually talk about B subject. So there's no convergence as far as, synergy is concerned between the Congress and the Trinamool. But we see, excellent coordination between Trinamool Congress MPs, Samajwadi Party and Congress Party. We saw Akhilesh Yadav, immediately jumping to Rahul Gandhi's aid and said that my father, who was the defense minister, also talked about China as the biggest threat and Rahul should be allowed to speak. So, the opposition unity is also, helping the Congress party to exercise that extra punch as far as the Lok Sabha is concerned. It will be very interesting to see whether the similar strategy is applied in the Rajya Sabha as well.
All right. Well, it really depends on what really happens today in Rajya Sabha. But one thing is sure, there is opposition unity as far as their plans to disrupt the upper house of the Parliament, which is Rajya Sabha at 5 p.m. when the Prime Minister finally takes to the well of the House and delivers his closing motion of thanks on President address at 5 o'clock. Amid the ongoing tussle, as I mentioned earlier in the Parliament, between the Treasury and the opposition benches, Congress leader, remember, also posted a video on X highlighting a 2004 incident where the BJP prevented the then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh from speaking in the Parliament. The Congress leader, in context of the ongoing Parliament disruptions, recalled the 2004 episode to highlight past opposition behavior. So essentially, coming to what the Congress party here and the opposition here is trying to say, Brijesh, is that this is not the first time, and this is the job of the opposition. Their job is to ask questions, and their job is to ensure that the Treasury benches, the ruling government, is held to account. And this is reflected in the past behavior when the ruling party was in opposition in 2004.
Absolutely. And I think, whenever we would pose this question to the opposition members as to, why you are not allowing the House to function, one of the two pet peeves which comes out is, one is that, that there is no effective outreach as far as the government is concerned. The second major concern is that they always say that, you are pillaring us, you are saying that you are criticizing the opposition government, you are asking the opposition these kind of questions. But, if you recall, in 2012 or 13, when late Arun Jaitley was there, Sushma Swaraj was there are a lot of ruckus which was going on in both houses of Parliament. They were repeatedly adjourned and no meaningful transaction would take place. At that time, they said that it's job of the government to run the House. It's not opposition's job to run the House. They're saying a similar kind of strategy is there for the ruling dispensation as well. So I think, the opposition has made up its mind, and they are saying that, you cannot always question or put opposition into a corner. The government is as much answerable to not functioning of the House as opposition is.
Absolutely. And if the past record is to go by, I think no one stands out any better there.
Oh, absolutely.
But let's listen in quickly to what Manmohan Singh was trying to do in the Parliament in 2004 and what Jairam Ramesh was referring to.
I deem it a great privilege to be standing here today to express the gratitude of our government to the respected Rashtrapati Ji for his address to both houses of Parliament. Sir, this is a hard-earned privilege for me, since I have had to wait out the entire year to perform this happy task. I would like to take this opportunity to doubly thank the President for his address last year and his address this year.
That's a clip down the memory lane. Thank you very much, Brijesh, and then we'll of course have to see how the Prime Minister speaks, or if he's allowed to speak at all in Rajya Sabha this evening.